Welcome to the Pundit's Pundit. Well, one of the things is normally I'm not the one that starts it off. Our hype man himself, Denzel, usually does the startup. But he's basically going to be doing the producing for tonight. I'm a little bit under the weather. So I'm going to be able to do the best that I can. This is Pundit's Pundit for the usual Wednesday. And I'm going to bring in right now the two cohorts, and you get well, Denzel, just to let you know. Scott Morganroth. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, great to be back here.
Good.
To be back.
We have I'm glad to have you. It looks like you're feeling better.
Much better, thank you.
Yep. And the resident journalist himself, Jordan. How's it going, bud?
Good. Very good. I mean, I love being a part of the show.
Good. No, I'm going to be doing something tonight, and I'm going to get because normally we're doing the Prime Pundit points with everybody, but I didn't tell anyone because I didn't know if we were going to do it tonight, and I saw a subject, so I'm going on my own. But each and every week we're going to be doing them right before the show. So I'm just going to get to this. I have a Prime Pundit point here, brought to you by Prime. You know it if you saw it last week. Right now we have an issue with WWE. What as if? We have there is a writer, go figure, a writer that's suing WWE because they're saying that she actually got fired. They had a reason to fire her. She stole one of the WrestleMania chairs, and they kept it at her house, and they gave them a reason. But her main thing was that they kept trying to put racist stuff inside of the writing from the writing team. It's basically her and like three other women with a bunch of men. And of course, there was some racial stuff to it. And here's the deal. Look, if anybody's been watching, you saw JBL running off illegal immigrants, from the border. That was back in 2007 or 8. You've seen the stalker, and he was going to stalk people, and you knew where that was going to go. You saw Muhammad Hassan, and that almost got him kicked off the air over the thing. This is around, this was around 2005. That almost got kicked off the air. They even brought him in to face Hogan, and they still almost got him kicked off the air just for the pro-American deal. See, so WWE they are not averse to this. But the biggest issue we have is the fact that there are people in 2023 that still have a belief in their heads that this is funny. That they think that this is original television, which this isn't the WWE of Vince and Pat Patterson and all of them just around a table near a swim pool. This is a bunch of writers in a writer's room that want to be soap opera writers. They want to be comic writers, movie writers. They're trying to just get themselves out there. But the writing's terrible. You can tell anything that is good with WWE comes from the wrestlers themselves. The writers could not come up anywhere close to thinking of anything as good as Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Nothing. They couldn't possibly. No one has that kind of imagination, especially the ones that still believe you need to have racial slurs and all that stuff and things against Bianca Belair. They still think you have to do this in 2023 to be imaginative. And that shows you everything about WWE writers. And I can promise you, there is a way to do it without having to do that. There is. But the thing is, will she win this case? No, she'll probably just settle out of court. But it just exposes just how ridiculous this writer team is, that we're still thinking like this in 2023. Hey, guys, how's it going? I just wanted to bring that through.
Well done. Okay.
I wanted to bring that through tonight, and it's like me, I write. I've written 9-10 scripts. I've written for you, Scott. Mm-hmm. Jordan does the thing. I can write, and it's like you don't have to do that. It means you have no imagination whatsoever, and that's the big thing.
Well, I've always been a firm believer: if you can write well, then you can talk well.
Yeah,
I agree with Scott.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Well, anyway, I wanted to bring up the first topic for tonight. It was just something that was just a pundit point, but oh, wonderful. WNBA, and I was talking to Jordan earlier tonight. He said he did not even know that it moved. See, ESPN is losing. They're going to be cutting $5.5 billion, which means which means a lot of their talent, some of their sports. The WNBA is gone. It goes to Ion, which is basically a 24-hour criminal minds network.
A crime show.
Yeah. Oh, that network. Oh, I didn't even know that. I mean, I've seen it. I didn't realize that it was.
Yeah, my wife has me addicted to that. I never thought I'd see the day when I'm away from sports I'll be watching crime shows. But no, I can't go Criminal Minds. That's too dark. But I'm starting to become more acclimated to the other ones.
Oh, but I'm just saying, though, it's the 24-hour Criminal Minds Network and a couple other shows.
Right.
And that's what it is. And you go to – and they're trying to use the WNBA to build their fan base, which WNBA is all right. It's gotten better. But really overall, if you're going to put a women's on there, wouldn't you want soccer? Women's soccer,
true, yeah.
Considering – because women's soccer is about to have a $300 million advertising deal for the first time ever. They've got the people.
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah, but Jacob, here's the deal. What they're trying to do right now by making this move is they're trying to capitalize on the women's NCAA tournament. It's called lightning in a bottle. That's what they're doing, okay? And as long as you have the WNBA, which to me is a up-and-coming property, obviously the women are paid a lot less.
Yeah.
It's a starting point, but it's not where it ends. Let's face the reality. You nailed it yourself, okay? ESPN is going broke. And they did it to themselves with the pathetic programming, getting rid of a lot of great talent. And this is what they're doing. So you're going to lose some of these other marginal properties is what we call them in our business. So more power to Ion for doing it. And who knows what else they'll do. Soccer is probably inevitable. I didn't know ESPN was losing the whole package, but evidently by what you're telling me, Ion is getting. I thought that ESPN would have a part of the package and Ion would get some of it, but I didn't know.
Oh, no. It's like you see a lot of it. You see Disney's taken a beating from this whole thing with Florida. They really have. And go ahead, Jordan. What were you saying?
Well, I'm going to say the nice thing about the Ion network is at least they'll put this league at the forefront to have more exposure. And that's what you want for your leagues. And I agree with Scott. They are coming out of the NCAA tournament, one of the best games that we have seen with 2 stars. The thing about ESPN, yeah, they're losing a lot of talent and, it's starting to go downhill. But the thing is, if you look at what sports they have, they've got the NHL, Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA. There was no way the WNBA could succeed there anyway, just because of the lack of exposure, because those sports take the forefront.
But you know what, Jordan? They've cut back on MLB quite a bit. They really have compared to past years, which enabled them to bring in the NHL a little bit. Plus, the NHL is less pricier than a lot of the other properties, so therefore they can afford to bring it back.
That's definitely true, Scott. I forgot about that. Thanks for making that point.
Oh, no problem, man. I've only been around forever. I like to think I know a thing or two about this.
Yeah, right. Almost forever. But no, but the thing is, it's just like a lot of these products are absolutely giving things up. They're finding reasons. We just brought this up with the Prime Pundit point tonight. Right. I brought this up with that they just fired a writer. Remember, there's going to be a lawsuit out of this, but the reasoning they said it was that she stole WrestleMania chair, and it's basically their type of thing, which she probably thought it would be like a souvenir or whatever. But they use that as the excuse. But they use that. There's one today. There was ESPN today fired their bilingual. Marley, I forget her last name, Rivera or something.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, they fired her for calling another Yankee reporter at FNC.
Yeah, right.
They fired her. The thing is, it goes more than a behavior. This goes more than the behaviors. It's more than everything. You have to really be careful on every little detail now, because the ones that are on the list are already fired, but they would love more. They'd love to be able to get rid of more, to be able to say, because the money is, they are really trying. Remember, they're trying to save $5.5 billion.
Right.
So they're using that. WWE is going to do the same thing. You are on the razor's edge when you're doing something like these. And it's like right now, just big products by themselves. Look at Budweiser. Look at Budweiser. They're down 21% in the last 3 weeks. they're down 21% over what we know would happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Jacob, you can't forget the underlying point the way ESPN does things. Number one, okay, once upon a time they brought Rush Limbaugh on, and I remember that a lot. And they knew what they were hiring, but when it came down to what my uncle Ernie Harwell said, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Well, they couldn't stand the heat with Rush Limbaugh, so they got out of the kitchen and let him go. But you knew what you were getting. And ESPN, to me, is their own worst enemy in so many different ways. You got a loudmouth like Stephen A. Smith making a boatload of money, and you're getting rid of a lot of talented people. He brings a lot to the attention, but he's baggage too. So don't mean to try to get away from your point, but you're right. They're looking for ways to get rid of people. Yeah, it's all their own fault.
Well, remember, Fox News just got rid of Tucker Carlson. CNN just got rid of Don Lemon. They're getting rid. I mean, it's like they're finding, but the Fox got rid of Tucker because of the $780 million they just had to fork up in the first place, and another lawsuit was coming. So they did that in the first place. But really, overall, this is kind of showing everything that we're talking about. Whether it's from, I talk about writers. That can be from wrestling to movies to anything. We're talking about Tucker Carlson with news and Don Lemon. The world is what we're doing. The media world is what we're doing right now. I have a good friend of mine who's written 2 good scripts. We'll help work with her on. You know what I'm saying, TJ? 2 really good scripts. One horror, one film noir, and a little short film and everything like that. She didn't have to go sell it. She doesn't have to go anything. People are making their own stuff now. Don Lemon will make his own podcast. So will Tucker Carlson. Everybody's going to be doing on their own. It's all going to be entrepreneurial. And it's the world that we're in. We are all doing entrepreneurial right now.
Right.
It's the legacy media is dead.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, mainstream media is not what it once was, and that's why everyone's going to podcasts. You can stream sports now. You can probably even do play-by-play with YouTube if you wanted to.
So realize I've got Peacock for a little bit. Peacock has WWE Network for $4.99 a month. You can watch all 39 WrestleManias.
That's not a bad price.
I'm just saying. And then and then every ounce of their pay-per-views and all of their shows, and that's for $5 a month. Why wouldn't we do something? Why would we want to be on Legacy Network when Legacy is led to cable, which is about $180 to $200 a month,
if not more?
Yeah, I mean, do you have cable or do you have streaming, Scott?
Well, I've got cable, but it's paid for by my association, so I'm okay. And whatever else I add is on my own. But I do get streaming. We get Amazon, for the NFL and all that. But I don't do a lot with the other stuff. The MLB property, I stream it through my electronic devices. But no, I mean, my association is part of what we get here anyway. So, obviously we'll be with cable until they don't have it anymore.
And you think really overall, we're talking about this that with the legacy media, do you think if they tried knocking prices down to catch up to streaming, do you think it would end cable? Do you think it would break him?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. Yeah, well, you have to understand in this business is once upon a time we had terrestrial radio, right? Mm-hmm. And once upon a time before we had cable, we only had 5-6 stations to market. Not that you would even know, Jordan. You're probably wearing a before. But I got lucky. I had Canada, yes, winter, my country. I've been waiting to say that a long time here because of Detroit winter. So I've been waiting to get my Canada, yes. But no, so I had another station more than you guys here on the mainland. But no, what it really comes down to is you're going to go with update the times. And that, to me, is one of those types of things. Who knows what's going to happen 5 years from now, for crying out loud. You're talking about an old dog like me learning new tricks. I mean, I'm trying to keep up with you guys out here. I'm not doing a bad job, but the way I define my new media is I'm winning ugly. Thank God I got a significant other that's making me look prettier than I am anyway. So
Well, one of the things I've always said is I've told my friends this, I've told my mom this, I've told everybody this. I've said, if you don't get in with the world now, they'll run you over.
No doubt about it.
They will run you over. You have to know every little detail of I've told every bit of this. It's like, We can't. I mean, you got to remember, there's no more bank tellers. Very few, maybe one or two.
Well, my wife ought to know that too because she's in the banking business. But a lot of my good friends in media have gotten out of it because they're sick and tired of what new media is. They have to do their own social media. I have a lot of great sports writers that I know that I'm still in touch with that retired, took their pensions, got out of it because they didn't want to be bothered having to do all the social media in their free time to promote. You have to know when to hold them and when to fold them. As long as you got a pension, you leave.
Like I said, there's no more tellers like you were bringing up, like you said with that. There isn't. I mean, go to a Walmart like I want to, but go like But the thing is, you go step into that place, and there's no more cashiers. None of anything. There's very few at grocery stores. It's like where everything is going to be automated. We are going to be automated. This whole thing is, and it's like we have to get into this world, or AI will take it, and AI is trying already.
Right.
And well, let's get on to the next one. Let's get on to the next topic here because we're going to see. Yes. I love these stories. We've been talking about the NBA and how the NBA in Africa, they'll have a tournament every year, in Africa to go try to find some talent. Then it's like the very first year Hakeem Olajuwon played in the game. He was 53 years old. He played the game, and he looked like a 53-year-old NBA player would. He had some nice moments. He has moves, but it's slow as molasses. But it's a 53-year-old. He hasn't played since, but Dikembe Mutombo played in it too. And they did that to build up the deal, build up the league. They have this now. Baseball, when we had COVID, the very first time, the sport that came back after, when COVID was there, was Korean baseball. Korean baseball. We have all of those. I mean, hockey is obviously Canadian and around the world, Russian and all those around the world. We have those things. We're talking the one sport that is trying their hardest, and it's got a long way to go, but it's trying the NFL. The NFL, remember, they are still in 3 countries, in Germany, in Britain, and in Mexico. They're still playing games there, but it's like 1 or 2 a year. It's still a long way to go with it. But now this NFL recruiting in Kenya situation is that's a really necessary deal because got to remember the I'll talk about a Korean not Korean born, but maybe just but Dat Win,
right?
Who used to be on Dallas. He used to be Dat Win, who used to be on Dallas, and you have a bunch. I mean, the Villanueva used to be on Pittsburgh. We got a lot more. You have a lot more players now there from different worlds, even if they're from America. They come from a different time, and so now. I mean, NFL is really, really ahead, but you can't lay on your laurels because soon enough we might have ourselves a situation where, and especially when baseball is getting hot right now because of the shorter times.
Right.
And so, what did you think about the Kenya, Scott? What do you think about the recruiting?
Well, you have to. I mean, right now you're talking about a lot of sports which are going to worldwide. Who would have ever have thought many years ago that you had the World Baseball Classic? So international is the way to go. If the NFL can set up camps and training in Kenya, more power to them, because that's where you're going. You got to go with the trend. If you're looking to play overseas or wherever, a lot of these countries want to be able to know that they can identify players of their own. When the World Baseball Classic in Puerto Rico, everybody's united and they stand, right? Well, wait till you see that first Kenyan or 2 or 3 on all of a sudden. Well, I don't know if they got bars in that area, but everybody will be celebrating these individuals. So the NFL, there's a reason why the NFL is $1 billion interest. And it's not because they make stupid decisions, that's for sure. The only sport out there that has a hard salary cap where you have an level playing field is really what you have. So to me, I think John Pierre Paul out of USF, I think he was he was a foreign player, but you're going to start seeing more and more and more of these type of individuals is what you're going to do. So sure, if you can go out there and identify those and make role models out of them, well, what do you have? It all becomes a snowball effect, and then it starts to catch on. Now, obviously, Kenya may take a while, but any kind of progress that you can make elsewhere, more power to. I don't know if you guys ever remember, well, once upon a time, the NFL had a league called NFL Europe overseas is what they did. Now, unfortunately, the problem with that was it was too expensive to run it. But
would you want to run an NFL Europe if you had the money to do it?
Oh, I would, no doubt about it. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know people that actually worked in that league. I really do. And I can remember right now, if I had an opportunity to do an NFL Europe and somebody wanted me to go over there, yeah, I'd do it all day long. I wouldn't even think twice about it.
Jordan.
I think honestly, this is a great thing for the NFL. You're trying to make the sport more global. Really, the NFL is the only sport that I can think of. Yeah, minus a few players here and there, is that it's just more Americans. This is at least making the game more global. And like you guys were talking about NFL Europe, I thought that was a great idea. I remember watching that in the summers thinking, oh, this is great. You have these young guys, and sometimes they're from where they were playing, and it was just great to watch them trying to develop into NFL players. And then you have, the global, or not the global series, but the Britain, the Mexico, and the German games. I think it's great that we're trying to make the sport more global. You'll have more of a talent pool, and the fact of the matter is actually to find that young talent in Kenya.
You know something? Will is on a roll tonight, especially seeing like OCU Manure and all those names, and you bring it up. Good job, Will. These are nice comments tonight. And no, the biggest thing is I was looking at a map of the space in Africa, in the continent of Africa. And no, I'm not going to be one of those goobers who will call it the country of Africa. 54 countries in Africa. We don't do that. We'll be long past that. But the thing is, the United States takes up 1/6 of the space of the continent.
Right.
1/6
I'm
of
not
it.
surprised with that.
Yeah, China takes up about. China takes up about. Let's see. I'm trying to think about maybe 2/3. There's still more space because China's got a lot of space itself. Asia. But even then, the Asia's like still the 2/3. It's still like 60, maybe under 60% or something like that. There's still space left. There's still Africa is so big that there's still 40% of the country that is dark. Like
That
basically
trying
to put solar around the world. They're trying to put solar around the world, around in Africa, because 40% of the continent's still dark. So just saying by itself, it's like. This is a world. The one big thing I always say, I'm going to bring this part right now. The one flaw in MAGA, Make America Great Again, is not Trump. It's not anything else, because guess what? Bill Clinton said Make America Great Again. So did Ronald Reagan. That's not the flaw in Making America Great Again. It's the fact that it's 2023 doing a 1986 presidential campaign. This isn't 1986 anymore. We go everywhere for our. Just think. You got to realize how many black players in baseball, American black players, were in the World Series last year. Absolutely none.
Yeah,
absolutely. Dusty Baker was asked about it, and he kind of just kept quiet about the thing. It's mostly just the Puerto Ricans and all of the, all the Latinos, and it's like we're in a different world now. And I was going to say this. By itself is like. If you were to buy, both of you, I'm going to ask this question to you. If you were to buy a sports team and you had the money to do that, would you buy it across the world, or would you buy a minor league system? Okay, the minor league system in the United States. Just curious.
A minor league team in the United States?
Or a minor league, just like an ABA or any of those type of things?
Minor league. Yeah, you know what? This may sound crazy, and I can't believe I'm even saying this. I would probably go overseas and try to get one of those marquee teams. I really would. I've never really been a big soccer guy, but I'm not oblivious to think that the English Premier League is a heavy duty league if I had the cash to do it. Really, some of these other leagues, they come and go. I was a part of the first rendition of the USFL back in the 80s. So the turnover with a lot of these leagues are here today, gone tomorrow is one thing. But if you got deep pockets, like Shad Khan has them, then yeah, if you go overseas and get yourself a team, then I'd do it. Can't believe I'm saying this.
Well, and what about you, Jordan?
I completely agree with Scott. I look at the owner of the Colorado Avalanche and the Denver Nuggets, who's also the Rams owner. He owns Arsenal, Kroenke. Of course, I'd go overseas because there's so much money to be made in soccer. Like I said, like Scott was saying, he's saying that. I can't believe I'm saying it. But I would go with the Premier League or some soccer team over in overseas.
I mean, what could you logically go overseas? I don't think hockey's worth anything, regardless of what country you're in.
That's
If
true.
you're mainly eating some NHL fans, sorry about it. But let's face it, when your major television contract is ESPN and nothing against TNT and TBS, and you don't have a recognized big network like Fox, ABC bringing it on, although the exposure is good, these leagues are smart enough to know streaming, then unless you're the NFL, maybe MLB and the NBA, who knows? I don't even care. Put it back on tape delay for all I care. But with all due respect, yeah, I think you'd have to go overseas as far as I'm concerned to go ahead and find a viable property that will make you a boatload of money. I didn't know that an interim manager, was a caretaker in soccer. I just learned that.
Oh, and just think of it this way. It's like I was listening to a podcast this morning with Kevin Nash, who has Click This, by the way, phenomenal. I recommend it, by the way, because it's like us. It's conversation between two guys. We're a 3 and 4, but it's Denzel will know what I'm talking about. It's amazing because he'll talk everything from gun control to his wrestling career to military to tactics and everything. So he's a very smart 7-footer. But the biggest thing is he brought up this morning. This is in 1989, 1990. He played in Germany, or 87 or something. He played in Germany during that time. He was making about, they call it like 1.3 million marks back in the German marks back in the day, which is like 250,000 in America. Like the 250,000. This is in 89, 90. Just imagine what you can get now, considering that for the first time ever, the Chinese yuan. The Chinese yuan has passed the United States dollar as far as the tradable thing for the first time ever. Just imagine, considering that they're going with that, just imagine how much you're making now in comparison to the United States, because we have the huge inflation going on right here. So imagine what you can get. Imagine going to Canada. Sweden, you can live off of anything. Before Lanny Poffo passed away, he lived in Ecuador, and you could live like on the beach for for the equivalent of about 60 grand a year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me crack a little joke here, okay? Before Cliff Kingsbury, after he got fired by the Cardinals, wanted to go to Thailand. How long did you think he was going to stay in Thailand before he landed a job anyways? If he was single and looking for one of those girls, more power to him. Stay there a little while. You got a little bit of a little bit of severance pay from the Cardinals. But yeah, I realized that you could go certain places and live really reasonable and not have to worry about anything at all.
Oh yeah. And it's like, and the thing is, and I love my country. So you're talking to somebody who loves his country, but it's like I'm trying to spread everybody to the world. One of the things I love when I listen to the different podcasts is there are ones that will compare money from back in the 50s and 60s in comparison to now. Like someone will say, well, I made $250. It's like an 85. That's like $1,000 today. Yeah, that's true, Denzel.
Yeah, I'll bet $1,000 makes you look like Beverly Hills, California out in the Philippines.
Oh, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And it's like, so why would you not go across the world? Because why would you not do it? Go across the world, go find people by yourself. But here's the thing. You don't necessarily go. You can go to the United States if you are somebody that is from the poor lands who wants opportunity, the United States is still it. But there are more areas of the world that are, you know what I'm saying, that are getting more opportunity now. It's such a different world.
Yeah, but by the same token, you may be looking at security issues, what kind of a government they have to protect you. So they almost kind of wash a little. How secure, how stable is the government? Is your well-being going to be affected? So you have to look at it both ways.
Absolutely. And Denzel, thanks for that one. Will, thanks for those, because Will's on a roll tonight. I appreciate it. And let's get to our next topic on this. And of course, they tried to rush it through the Senate. Just wanted to finish this part. They tried to rush it through the Senate. Mazie Hirono from Hawaii, through the Senate committee, and everything like that. But this is where I want to ask the Democrats in the middle of all this. You were for decades and decades and decades the absolute pro. The feminism, completely pro-feminism. men, it was the toxic patriarchy. It was all that stuff. You know what I mean? Right now, we're protecting people. See, the thing is, the trans deal is not equal. We're not getting trans women going over to the men's sports at all. They're not going over to men's sports to try. They get absolutely clobbered, and they know it. It's trans men becoming women and going over to women's sports and dominating them. Mm-hmm. And it's dominating them. And it's like, I want to ask this. This is what I say. I call it the QWERTY keyboard. The QWERTY keyboard mobs. You know, it's like when I say the QWERTY keyboard mobs, it says you add a letter based off the based off the money that is involved in the whole situation. You just add another. So it was LGBT, LGBTQ, LGBTQI plus A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know, it's a whole mob of everything. We got to keep adding them. But my question is, who's paying this out in the middle to completely forget about women? This is to forget about women in the first place. This isn't, guess what? This isn't Republican. This is not conservative. It's like the liberals are supposed to be the ones protecting women. I want to know if I could get Amazing Hirono on this show, or I would get the thing. I want to know where this came from. And I want the truth. I don't think we get it, but I want the truth. Where did this come from? I was going to say to you, Scott.
Well, you know, the way I look at the whole thing, what you're telling me is that the men can compete in women's sports, okay, because of this, and that's why they're posing a ban. Why? I can see the logic behind it. I mean, I don't, you know, when you look at golf, you have the men's tees and the women's tees, right? Okay, so you know what? To me, it's one of those topics where if they wanted to go ahead and get this thing done pretty quickly, they certainly had good reason, because the main thing in sports is you want to make sure you balance the playing field is what you want to do. And when you get into this transgender type of topic, okay, you wonder whether or not, you know, let's take a hypothetically, Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, whatever it is, okay, you know, what records are what they are? What would it be doing today on the other side? I mean, really, I mean, so if they pass the ban, more power to them. To me, it's one of those dicey subjects where if it gets too political, I won't touch it anyways, because I try to stay away from that kind of stuff. But you have to do what's right to level the playing field some way or another. But you make a valid point. Women aren't going up to compete against the men. I mean, this isn't Billie Jean King, Bobby Riggs, okay, where we're dealing with all this, you know, type of genetic difference here, battle of the sexes and all that kind of stuff. This is a much different, sensitive animal. How many people have gotten fired because of the LGBT, whatever it is, by making comments on it? It's a hot tamale is really, really what it is. So do I think the House made the right decision to pass the ban? Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about it. Well, you had to.
And Jordan, question for you. Really, overall, it's like, where do we go here? Because 22 states have banned trans from playing with girls' sports. 22 states right now. It's like, do you think it goes federal to mid, and a Republican will win the next one? It's going to be on that, because it goes back and forth anyway. But do you think they try to go federal, or do you think they just try to make more states hurry through and just make it a federalist? I mean, not federalist, but state by state.
I think you got to go state by state, just because of the, you know, every governor and legislation is going to have different ideas. But with the whole trans thing, it's so difficult because they're trying to, you know, transition to the different sex. Granted, I completely get where they're coming from, but at the same time, when I look at sports, especially women's sports, it is like we've talked about, men going into women's sports. It just gives them a competitive edge over the women because they're faster, stronger, they're bigger. Right. And I think there has to be a happy medium where if these transgender people are going to end up competing, they have to have their own category. It just make it more even. How you do that, I have no idea. I just don't like seeing, and I'm.
He's cutting out.
Yeah, you're cutting out.
Well, believe it or not, he actually probably talked himself into a solution.
Yeah.
And if he can hear me, fine. But you have men, women, and then have a separate category.
Are there enough though? Are there enough of them though? It's like 0.6% of the country. Are there enough of them?
I don't know. If you have 2, 3, 4, what's the difference? Just separate them. On a multiple choice test, you do have A, B, and C. So you might as well have A, B, and C here too.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Jordan?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, a little bit better now.
All I was saying was, there's a way to do it, and that is to have a category for transgender people, which would make it more fair. But the thing is how you do that, I really have no idea. This is such a hard topic. I think the House passing it definitely it puts it in the forefront to, you know what, we want women to compete with women, men to compete with men, and trans to compete with trans. It's definitely going to have to go state by state, though. I don't think the federal is going to do a whole lot.
Well,
here's no argument there, Jordan. I think you're right. A lot of laws which are different. Many years ago, Michigan introduced the seatbelt law, and then everybody caught on with that. And you have then assisted suicide for a while. Certain states have it. So I agree with you that it has to be done state by state. So go ahead, Jordan.
Well, it's a state. Yeah, it's the way our Constitution in the first place. But here's one of the things, this is what gets me with our government so much. It drives me. I always say, I've had people ask me if I wanted to ever run for something. I always say no question, I'd probably lose until I won. I might shock myself. But the reason I say this is because I want to get things done. And the biggest issue I have is when it goes to the media by itself. And it's like, if there is, you have the Republicans. You have Republicans that are 8 ahead in the House. They are essentially tied in the Senate because 2 or 3 of the senators right now are sick. They're old and they're sick. It's essentially tied, with a tiebreaker. They can't lose anybody. And yet now you talk to get the media slobbering. You get the media slobbering. You talk about, oh my God, we need trans rights. Oh my God. And knowing that the House will never let it go. Will never let it by. Oh my God, we need to get higher taxes on rich. Knowing the House owns it. The Republicans own the House, and that's never going to happen. This is what the Republicans do too. They will say we need less taxes if the Democrats run the thing, if they own it. They did that. The Republicans did that all the time during Trump's thing when they had the House and the Senate. They did that, and it's like, and the Republicans did the thing too. We need less taxes. So why didn't you do it when he was there? And it's like we have an issue where it's like, if someone tries to get something done, are you going to is somebody going to hold you into a closet and try to keep you from it? Because it just feels like you're going to the I'm trying to think of a word for this. It feels like we're just doing wordplay with every bit of this. We're not trying to get anything truly done. And you said you don't get much into politics, Scott, but in the end, you've had to cover it before, have you not?
Yeah, I've had to reluctantly.
Yeah, but do you think overall, like, local politics is just as much BS?
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
The only difference is you have more access to them than you do anywhere else. I mean, if you're whether you're in your town or not, but you know what? To me, what do they really get done? A lot of them have other jobs, whether they're attorneys or doing something like that. I want to run for mayor tomorrow. No problem. I'll run for it all day long. I guarantee I'll have something in common with John F. Kennedy. If I ran for politics, I'd get shot because I can't keep my mouth shut anyway. But still, not that you guys have to hear it any other way to begin with.
Oh, yeah. I'm by saying, but Jordan, go ahead, Jordan.
No, I agree with Scott. I mean, the local politics, definitely, we hear them all the time in the forefront. And like Scott said, not much gets done. Right. And I know I'm from kind of I would call it a small city. People would call it a city in Western Colorado. And I can tell you, there's a lot of we're trying to get the marijuana passed so we can get, stores. Well, that has been passed, but they don't do anything. It took us years to finally get a rec center for the kids. It took years. And that's where I'm looking at it. Like, it definitely takes a lot of time for local politics to do anything. So I definitely agree with Scott.
I'll tell you this, I don't bring politicians on my show.
Oh, but I'll tell you this, Quincy, where I'm from, they've got dispensaries all over the dang place, and it's 40,000 people. I'm telling you this right now. It's like it is marijuana central in Quincy, Illinois right now. And I used to joke that it was meth central, but I guess they got rid of the thing. But it's like they've made dispensaries, they've got all this type of stuff. So how does this little town beat Colorado, which was basically the snowboarding capital?
I don't know.
It has to do, honestly. Well, I will answer this because of where I'm from. It's so conservative that they're really against marijuana for some reason. I don't understand it because they don't understand how much money is going to be made once these dispensaries go in.
You know something? I really feel like that the whole deal with marijuana, and we're just going off to another subject, but I just want to bring this. I really feel like the thing with marijuana is if you have people that have cancer and they use that, and they use that. And I mean, I've seen this with before. There was someone I knew that had colon cancer. You know, it was basically near death. You know what I mean? But she got to a point where she just stopped. She just stopped getting treatments and stuff like that, and she just started smoking marijuana. And for a while, she lasted a while longer. And it's like a lot of it's big pharma. Which, I mean, capitalist as I am, I want big pharma to die. I'm just being very, very honest. It's like, because to me, the whole situation with Big Pharma came with COVID. When we saw those little scrolls down, you know, mask 6 feet apart, like a virus can go 5.5 feet, go whoops. You know, it's like let's stay back. You know, it's the whole thing with it. It's the fact that if the way I kept COVID away from me, I slept better. I lost 28 pounds. And I lost 28 pounds. I moved around more, and I allowed my immune system to do the work. And those kind of things. And I had vitamin C. But those type of things would have kept the panic away, which wouldn't have brought any money. And people believe. But the problem is you also have to have people that believe, and there's too many that do.
Well, I can tell you how I kept COVID away from me. I stayed home and took the attitude, I don't want to see anybody. You know, and that's it. And if every time I have a cold or anything where I have a sore throat, this may sound crazy to y'all, but then again, you haven't heard any other way from me to begin with since y'all know me. But anytime I get a sore throat, you know what I do? I take mouthwash and drink the stuff and then kill the germs that way. Ever heard of that before?
Absolutely have. Especially when they used to do it with Listerine. They used to do it for that gold Listerine in the first place.
Oh, I do that, and it's worked. Anytime I sense it may taste bad, but boy, it's a whole lot better than going through some paper towel tissues and all the rest of that business. Let me tell you.
Oh, and my big thing was that's what I did. I ended up losing 28 pounds during that whole time. Because see, I didn't lock down at all. I was an Uber driver during that time. I didn't lock down a bit. I just was out and I did everything. Was it a risk? Yes, it was. But you have to, the freedom is not getting on TV and yelling about it, nor getting on Twitter and getting about it. You just do it. And then people have to follow their own end first. That's where the freedom comes, because the politicians aren't going to do anything to you if you with the numbers of people that be out. That's why they were able to close down parks, because there weren't 500 people sitting in a park saying no, because there aren't enough cops to stop them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And true. And there's those. But anyway, we've gone about 4 different subjects, and I love this is what I love about this show. And we got to this. Let's get to we have about 12 minutes. Let's get to the final one, because we have some good timing tonight. Jimmer Fredette. Jimmer Fredette, by the way, Denzel, but it's Jimmer. But no, but the whole, no problem. But you guys remember Jimmer Fredette, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He played a couple years in the NBA, went to China, had a lot better career there. He just decided one day, his parents were already into finance. He decided one day, I'm going to open an account. I'm like a Vanguard, like any of those type of deals. I'm going to open his own deal. I'm going to do what these athletes are doing. And this is what athletes are doing now. Yep. The capital funds. They're doing it now. Everybody, look at how I was reading up on how many of these football players are doing something like this, and they're investing in things like prime energy or prime drink. and they're into the energy drinks, and they're into. I mean, I say what I say about James Harden, but he's got he's a part of a bunch of capital funds. He's going to be great for those, and all of this comes back to remember that one movie, Broke, 30 for 30.
Right.
Broke, and how many people busted themselves, and we have come so quickly to that movie almost being a comedy that you could not make anymore. There will be people that go broke still, but there are so many athletes now that are. I mean, it's not like Junior Bridgman where there are very few. We're getting quite a few now. I interviewed somebody on Pundit Views. I mean, Andrew Petcash. We were talking nothing but all the athletes that made it, and now we have NIL. We have NIL, name, image, likeness. You have all the things. You can go if you are in high school. You can literally leave high school and go to a pro league like overtime, which is about 6 figures a year. And you can choose to do that over playing your final year in high school. You can do those if you think you're ready. There's so many options of making money now, and truthfully, I'm going to ask this now. Do you think we'll have bankrupt athletes still to this day, or do you think that we've learned our lesson? And Scott.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt you're going to have bankrupt athletes, no matter whether they learn or not. A lot of them just can't manage their money. That's all.
But
or they have bad influences around where all these people come out of nowhere and they hadn't seen them before, and all of a sudden they're piggybacking up. Yeah, I don't care what era. You're going to have athletes that go bankrupt, no doubt about it.
Really, overall, though. It's like, see, we have our people from Sideline Sports. Right. Troy Geary, another man that I interviewed a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Troy Geary, Brian Newdall, he's part with the NIL deal. You get so many people starting younger, but here's the question. I'm going to ask this to you, Jordan. Mind you, there's more options. There's more options out there. But with there being no education to this day, no education of money in schools outside of the really wealthy schools. Still no education in the public. A lot of public schools that don't have education on how to deal with money. Still with the idea of the agrarian age of like a factory and like the desk back and forth and you just learning. That's what there still are, 2023. You think by itself that we'll still have bankruptcy, or do you think we're learning our lesson?
I don't think we're learning a lesson. We're having, like Scott said, we're having too many athletes or even people who don't know how to invest right. They don't know the strategies of doing it. I definitely agree with Jacob that they don't teach it in school. The way I have learned to actually invest money or save money is I had an allowance when I was younger. I learned that way. Yes, it wasn't taught in school, but it was learned by myself. I do think that schools should really look at how do we prepare kids for the real world rather than, especially in high school, rather than, let's get them ready for college. They got to get ready. They have to get ready for the real world, because you have to learn how to invest your money, put your money, you have to trust people, and that my money's in a bank. I mean, yeah, I know banks can fail, but at least my money is safe. I know how to budget. That's what we should really learn in school, is how to use real life skills, and they don't do that, unfortunately.
Well, here, I'll take it a step further, okay? When I was in elementary school, and that was a whole long time ago, they actually introduced a class called sex education, and you had to have a permission slip to be able to take the material. So you talk about real life skills, Jordan, okay? Even back then in the 70s, which is when I was more or less raised in elementary, they had sex education. I mean, you were talking about kids my age, 8 to 10, 12 years old, learning about this stuff. And now, like you say, in terms of budgeting money, I agree. You do need to learn real life skills, what you have to do.
Well, and one of the things I look at is the fact that I think budgeting should be let's see, Money 101.
I agree, 100%.
202, 303, and 404. Like I'll say, budgeting should be Money 101. 202 should be investing. 303 should be real estate. 404. Oh, no. But it's like those need to be, but we need to get the idea. See, and people would say, there'll be people like a Grant Cardone, which I'll watch all the time. He'll say, oh, budgeting, you're still going to be broke. But which is true. Job means just over broke if JOB. That can mean that.
Right.
If you're not right, mind you, because you're still getting money, taxes taken away from your paychecks each and every time. There's people that do not even realize that, especially when they don't get their slips anymore. They goes in there online. So, you get the slips, so you're just getting whatever money. You're getting $100 taken off right off the spot. But if you decide to go on your own, you're getting 100% of your money. You got to go quarterly. You got to go quarterly and get your taxes. Otherwise, you are messed up. But these are things by itself. It's like I would think that the NBA has got a chance. Not NBA, but just the athletes have got more of a chance now. Will they listen is the question, because there are more examples. Like Kevin Durant is an example. LeBron's absolutely an example. James Harden is an example. Bring up Jimmy Fredette. That's an example. There are more of these players. I mean, we're getting some high-end players there. They're learning how to invest in different things. It's like, this isn't the time like in Scottie Pippen, he invested in a car lot and lost everything, and a bunch of other things and lost everything because he didn't know anything about money. He was also born in a poor Arkansas town. So you didn't have those things. These by themselves, it's like back in those times, you did not have the internet to do anything like that, and you're not going to the library to check. Now you can go online if you're poor. You have kids, the poorest kids have a phone. It can be taught, but now goes to the fact of it depends on the parents. Again, depends on the parents. I mean, I'll meet parents of kids all the time. It's like some are just like living day by day, paycheck by paycheck. They feel like victims. And then there are others that are telling their kids. They're telling their kids, you can go right ahead. You can go get this, be a billionaire. Run for Senate. But it all depends on that right off the bat, because it doesn't matter if you've got all of these. If you've got all of these situations, if we have a phone and the poorest person has a phone now, it doesn't matter if the parents are by themselves and saying, and the parents themselves got to remember, these are the same parents who are getting into fights at baseball games with the umpires, and the kids are watching. So the parents of the children. So this is that world. But why would the kids learn anything when the parents are watching TikTok? They're watching TikTok all the time. They're watching all that kind of stuff, the violence of it, which China has TikTok, and they're watching about chemistry and calculus. See,
all right. You're the TikTok expert. I'm definitely anything but.
The what?
You're the TikTok expert. I'm anything but.
Well, I'm even trying. I did that because I couldn't even go to the thing, and I still do them here and there. But I'm like, you want to know what I put on my TikTok? I went to open the story because it puts you to a video, so it does that right away. I put puppies.
Okay.
I put puppies there, and I put the whole thing, and I'll do it. It's because it keeps your brain calm. Seeing a cute little puppy keeps the brain calm, not a bunch of fighting from streets. It's why I watch 80s television at night to go to sleep, because it doesn't pop. The colors don't pop. The sound is quieter. It puts your head, everything is. Go ahead.
I'll give you the solution how to put me to sleep. Take a baseball bat, and that will work fine if trazodone and tizanidine doesn't do it. So, or if nothing else, I'll just have you watch. Or if nothing else, I'll just have you watch WNBA. Well, no, maybe soccer would be better. And I remember years ago when I had surgery, and I know we have a show in a couple of minutes here, but when I had major back surgery, Farrah Fawcett and Michael Jackson died when I was there, and I got to watch soccer, and that was just as powerful as morphine. So if we have any soccer fans out there, well, sorry, folks, but I know what relaxes me and what doesn't. So here's
the world's most popular sport, but I get that absolutely. It just shows how big the world is. 8 billion people, but. Guys, we have a minute and a half left. I just wanted to spend this last minute and a half and come in real quickly. Denzel. Just because I wanted to say, because we're down to this thing. And hopefully he does. But I just want to say this. I'm glad to have this crew. We do miss Jen and we do miss the thing, but we appreciate you, Jordan. We do. And we appreciate you, Jordan. And you're willing to learn about different stuff all the time. And you're doing your research and learning all these type of deals and getting this. And I'm going to start probably doing the topics once a week, and we might have to change them here and there so that you have time. So if I change things, I apologize with that. It's just my head is. I call myself adult ADD and proud.
Hey, it's all good. I mean, as long as I have time to look and see what we're talking about and gain more information, so I understand, it's all good. Whenever they come.
We'll call him Jacob Brett Favre Christner, as in waffling. All right.
Yeah.
So
There we go. There we go. That's a good name.
Well, I guess Denzel's not feeling too great, but he's been running this whole thing. And I appreciate everybody tonight. We hit 55 minutes, and this is the deal. We're going to have 4 more tremendous topics next week. And the whole point of this show is for conversation. I don't care what side we're going to be at. It's like, let's just get the facts. Let's get the facts and build in. Thank you, Will, for going on tonight and for reading on that tonight. You were on a roll tonight. We appreciate you. And everything like that. And let's just, everything is, and I'll tell everybody here. And thank you, Denzel. Thank you for your time tonight, Denzel.
You rang?
Say this. And Will was on a roll tonight, by the way. And
He was.
Anybody here that has a topic, look for it. Denzel can tell you for anything. I put him on, don't I?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll explain if we don't do it for the moment, but it's like there's so much of this world now. You know what I mean? Now let's start talking about it, you know?
That sounds good. Right on. I hate to do this. I got to roll.
We got to get going, guys. We got to get going. For Jacob Christner, for this Motor City Mad Mouth, for Denzel, the producer, and Jordan, this is Pundit's Pundit. We will see you next week.
You bet.